To all my marketers out there, you're probably spread real thin right now. I'm sure you need some help between creating content, launching campaigns, generating leads, scoring leads, nurturing leads, and a lot more stuff with leads. You barely have a moment to breathe, let alone do your best marketing. But that's where HubSpot and Breeze, its new built-in AI, come in. When you combine the power of Marketing Hub and Content Hub, you can have your best quarter, every single time. With tools that instantly remix your content, lead scoring to shine a light on potential customers, and AI-curated analytics suite for reports and KPIs. And that's all alongside co-pilots and agents to automate all of your tasks, making your life easier, getting you the results faster, and better connecting you to all your data all in one place. Doesn't that sound nice? So stop spreading yourself so thin and start making major moves with HubSpot. You can visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, January 24th. I'm John Weigell here with Ben Berkley, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Gen Z has been picking up a lot of heat in the workplace. Managers, CEOs, and the like have gone viral for questioning the dedication and willingness of Gen Z to operate in a professional environment. And now a study from Resume Genius reveals that Gen Z kind of agrees with that. So why are Gen Zers perceived as so hard to work with, and what do they themselves have to say about it? We'll get to all that, but before we do, let's give you the news in business and tech. To kick it off today, after Walmart's successful 2024 pushed their value to $768 billion, their managers are feeling the love financially. According to the Wall Street Journal, top-performing regional managers at Walmart can now make up to about $600,000 per year, and that does not include bonuses. It's good to be the retail king, eh, Ben?
I mean, wow, Walmart seems like a utopia. 50K increase in what these roles can bring in, and minimum base pay is up 30K. The company also just opened their big gleaming corporate campus in Arkansas. They got a food court and bike paths, fancy auditorium. And also now we can do the record scratch thing. We are 9 months removed from the company laying off hundreds in corporate roles.
Yeah.
So are they paying these people more to reward them for the company's good year? Sure. Are they also paying them more because now they're likely doing the work of multiple people? I mean, you know that answer's got to be true. This is like the circle of corporate life right here. News that sounds good for the workers often isn't that great of news.
Yeah, exactly. Prosperity usually comes from suffering, at least in corporate America. And also these managers do have to manage about 12 stores each. So it seems like a pretty tough job at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no, not interested. Although I would enjoy the proposition of making $600,000 and living in Arkansas. I mean, that would be interesting.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess Walmart recruiters, if you're listening to this, try John. He might be convincible here.
I have some Midwestern charm to me, I think. Okay, from there, we go to television. Comcast launched a $70 a month streaming bundle now to bring more sports fans in, and that includes live games, access to over 50 news and sports channels, Peacock, and more. DirecTV also has a similar deal, but only in select cities, while Venue, a sports bundle from ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, folded before it even launched. So everybody's getting into the sports streaming game nowadays. In more TV news, news giant CNN just announced Thursday that it's going to lay off 6% of its staff, or about 210 workers, and that's all in an attempt to modernize and digitize their business away from broadcast television. So we've seen murmurings about this with other places. There are also some murmurs that NBC News will do something similar, but on a bit of a smaller scale. So Ben, we're seeing this big shift of these cable networks and news networks from being all TV, all broadcast all the time to social media and other digital outlets, and seems to be hurting a lot of TV workers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that especially this CNN layoff, specifically at the news side, the post-election ratings swoon that networks were hoping for, it's not really looking like it's going to be a thing this time around. That's something I was just noticing this morning, is that like quote unquote Trump bump, like I've heard about. That thing where like the novelty of what was a very different looking administration kind of turned politics into must-see TV and drove this voracious news consumption. It's looking kind of mild this time around. The inauguration this week alone drew more than like 5.5 million fewer eyeballs than Biden swearing in 4 years ago.
Wow.
CNN had 2 million viewers this time for the inaugural speech. It had 10 million last time. MSNBC, which surged in the last Trump administration, didn't even hit 1 million this time.
Wow.
News fatigue is a thing. As you were mentioning, these decentralized viewership habits, YouTube and podcasts beating out network TV. If you're a boss in traditional media and you're hoping your fortunes are about to turn around, nah, I don't think that's going to happen.
But if you're looking to buy a house, though, you could buy a $150 million house because Tom Brady is selling his Florida Island mansion house on the exclusive and very highly priced and policed Indian Creek Village. Other homeowners there include Jeff Bezos and David Guetta. And if you've heard of this island before, it's probably because our very own Noelle Medina on the Hustle YouTube channel actually tried to get onto it. To see if she did or not, check our YouTube channel to see what exactly happened. It is a riot. And finally, a half marathon in Beijing will pit 12,000 human runners against dozens of humanoid robots from over 20 companies. While 13 miles as a human is difficult, and I don't want to do it, the robots might actually have it a lot worse because there hasn't been a bipedal robot in history that has successfully completed that long of a race. So to qualify, bots need to have 2 legs and be able to walk and run in an upright position without wheels. They also need to be between 1.6 and 6.5 feet tall and are allowed to be remotely operated. The 3 top finishers, whether they're humans or robots, will win prizes. Ben, who's your money on?
I want to say humans so badly, but I'm kind of envisioning the makings of like the next great sports inspirational movie, like kind of like a Rudy situation or like Miracle or something where you're seeing this spot that was written off and it kind of finishes this race and wins and is carried off.
Yeah, like an Air Bud type situation, Airbot.
Okay.
Potentially.
Now I'm kind of rooting for that to happen. Humans are going to win this. They gotta.
Yeah, I believe so, given the context here that no robot has ever done this, but this could be an interesting turnaround. Who knows what's going to happen in Beijing? I know it is going to be my favorite sporting event of 2025, probably.
Amen.
Okay, on to the main story today. Gen Z is always getting the brunt of corporate frustration lately. Some fresh out of school, some in the workplace for a few years, but all of them are being labeled as unprofessional in some way. So Ben, first, what do you make of these complaints? Do you think that they are fair, and where do they come from, really?
We'll just say, whether they're fair or not, they are plentiful. We're like a year removed from a very public blasting from Jodie Foster, talking about how, this generation didn't show up to work until 10:30 a.m. And I was looking back through this morning. We asked our readers on The Hustle last year how they felt about Gen Z. Mm-hmm. And the response include like someone called them pie in the sky assholes. Not sure what that means, but I like it. Jeez. Very colorful. And said, thank God I'm old enough to die soon.
Wow. Okay.
Which I guess beats working with them.
There we go.
Someone said they call them Wonkas because they have golden tickets, have no need to be responsible. People are so mad at this generation. And I guess what's interesting about this survey here is that maybe they are also mad at themselves.
Yeah, right. So we have this survey from Resume Genius that interviewed about 625 hiring managers here in the US. From generation to generation, included Gen Z in some of them as well. And it seems like Gen Z hiring managers are also complaining about Gen Z's work style in relation to boomers, Gen Xers, and millennials. This is a fascinating turn of information because this whole past few years since Gen Z entered the workforce has been just heat on them, consistently heat on them for a bunch of things that may not even be their fault. But now their own generation is also complaining about their work style, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think issues are understandable. This is a generation that kind of came of age in a pandemic time. There's just a lot less opportunity to be in offices learning work culture, and work culture also naturally evolves over time anyway. There are just a lot of soft skills that need to be picked up here in order to fit the world the way we work today. But if you'll allow me to undercut everything here,
do it.
The surveys are stupid. I think if we really look at it, it's like generation means nothing and self-motivation means everything. No generation is a monolith here. And I think we're doing a big disservice to Gen Z, just like always falling for the surveys here. Any employee who cares about doing good work is worth their weight in gold. Doesn't matter if they're 12 or 112, though actually it kind of does really matter because child labor laws are a thing. And we should probably let 112-year-olds retire. So you know what I'm saying here. I'll just say I've managed Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z in my career, had aces in each set, duds in each set.
Yep. Obviously the big thing here is that all these generations are dogpiling on them. Despite that, Gen Z are the second most likely to be hired job candidate behind millennials right now because of youth inexperience. They need experience in the workplace. Companies like PwC, Deloitte are even enhancing their training programs for new employees to bring them into the fold because a lot of them, as you mentioned, came up during the pandemic and had a lack of internships, had a lack of even getting a graduation. So it's really a teetering, tumbling way to enter the workforce. And it seems to be like some people are just trying their best and finding their footing.
Yeah, they will be fine in part because they can be paid less. And companies will love to hire them when they're like, could we hire someone at, $200K with a lot of experience or $40K with none and just try to hope for the best. I think a lot of corporations are going to take that deal. Also, obviously, they become the primary consumer. So companies are going to desperately need them there. I think that this happens. Every generation gets their bad rap, and then we move on to piling on to Gen Alpha. This also just makes sense. I am a millennial. I like managing millennials the most. I think it's because I relate to them the best, but not necessarily because they do the best work or the most professional. And so, I just think that we're going to see this preference always going toward what you know. But I think there are no magic managerial bullets for any generation. You set the job that needs to be done clearly, treat people like complex human beings, and clear hurdles for your team to get that job done. And the flavor of it slightly changes based on generation, but the core of it's always the same.
Sure. And, each generation that enters the workforce seems to be more well-informed when they do enter the workforce, especially for Gen Z having access to TikTok, Instagram, all those things with professional people going out and talking about the workforce, what you should be paid, how you should ask for a salary increase, all these resources that a lot of us didn't have coming up. So expectations are sometimes higher, and they kind of know that 200K job offering them 40K is not right. So maybe that's also a point of frustration that they can't get them to work 10 jobs in place of one job. So
yeah, I would be bitter too, as they're turning against themselves and saying they don't like managing themselves. Give yourself a break,
Yeah.
Your kids.
It's not that bad.
You'll be fine. Yeah.
It's got to get better. Everything gets better with experience. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. Go subscribe to it at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you Monday. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. It's called Nudge, hosted by Phil Agnew. It's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So have you ever noticed how the smallest changes can have the biggest impact? On Nudge, you learn simple, evidence-based tips to help you kick bad habits, get that raise, and grow a business. Every bite-sized 20-minute show comes packed with practical advice from admired entrepreneurs and behavioral scientists alike. And Nudge is fast-paced, but still insightful with real-world examples that you can actually apply. Oh, and by the way, it's the UK's fastest-growing business podcast. I was listening to an episode recently that Phil, the host, had on Harvard professor Mike Norton, and Mike convinced Phil that he had to handwrite every single one of his emails before sending them to understand what he was really trying to talk about. This process, although it sounds insane, he claims, Phil, that it made his emails 3.5 times better. You got to listen to this podcast. It's a great way to understand how email marketing can help your business. You can listen to Nudge wherever you get your podcasts.
New year, new resolutions. And this year on the Best Idea Yet podcast, we're revealing the untold origin stories of the products you're obsessed with. And we promise you have never heard these before.
Ever wonder how the iconic Reese's Peanut Butter Cup was invented? Because it was by accident. H.B. Reese, a former frog salesman,
True story,
stumbled upon the idea after accidentally burning a batch of peanuts.
Classic.
Proving that sometimes our best ideas arise from what seem like our biggest mistakes.
And Jack, did you know there's a scientific explanation why humans crave that surprising combo of peanut butter and chocolate?
I didn't, but it sounds delicious.
It is delicious.
So, if you're looking to get inspired and creative this year, tune in to the Best Idea Yet. You can find us on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're looking for more podcasts to help you start this year off right, check out New Year, New Mindset on the Wondery app. Who knows? Your next great idea could be an accident that you burned. This is Nick.
And this is Jack.
And we'll see you on the Best Idea Yet.